Okay, let's take a trip to Fort Collins. Picture the scene. It's the border war.
Hmm.
Wyoming versus Colorado State. And if you've followed Mountain West football for, I don't know, more than 5 minutes, you know exactly what usually happens here.
Oh, yeah. It's a rock fight. Historically, you look at this matchup, and the analytics, they just scream under.
Right.
It's all about ball control, muddy trenches, and just surviving.
Yeah.
It is rarely about fireworks.
The team that makes the fewest mistakes wins, like 13-10.
Exactly.
You expect grit, you expect this defensive struggle where every yard feels like pulling teeth, but then Saturday night happens, and Wyoming didn't just survive, they completely flipped the script. It was like watching a caterpillar emerge from a cocoon as a fighter jet.
That's a vivid image, but you know what? You're not wrong.
Yeah.
This wasn't just a win. It was an evolution. And honestly, it started before the kickoff. Did you catch the uniforms?
The stormtrooper look, all whites.
Exactly. They came out in those all-white specials. Now, normally I'm the guy saying, don't read into the fashion, look at the formations.
Right. But this felt different. It felt like a psychological reset. It looked crisp. It looked new. And it really felt like a visual symbol of a reintroduction. They were telling us, forget what you think you know about us.
And reintroduction is the perfect word. That's what we're diving deep into today, this 42-28 victory. Because if you just see the score, you might think, okay, solid win.
Yeah.
But we're here to unpack how it happened. Because this team, known for its punishing ground game.
Ground and pound, dust cloud football.
Yes, and they suddenly transformed into an explosive air raid offense.
And that transformation is the entire story here. We aren't just talking about a lucky streak. This win moved them to 9-0, undefeated. But the way they did it signals they are a legitimate, dangerous contender. They answered the biggest question critics had.
Which was?
What happens if a defense sells out to stop the run?
Well, apparently the answer is we'll just throw 6 touchdowns instead.
Which is, it's absurd. It is video game numbers. And we're going to get into those stats because they are mind-blowing. But let's set the stage. To understand why this was so shocking, you have to understand the context. What was the book on Wyoming walking in?
Punishing. Uncomplicated. Power football, that's it. If you're a defensive coordinator, your whole week is simple. You install a heavy box.
Okay.
You put 8, maybe 9 defenders near the line of scrimmage. You clog every running lane, and you dare them to throw. You basically say, we will let the quarterback try to beat us with his arm because we don't think he can.
You make them play left-handed.
Exactly. You bet your mortgage they can't beat you over the top.
So the game starts. The Cowboys get the ball. And at first, it looks like that's exactly what's happening. Duke Clark gets a handoff, rips off a nice chunk run, and everyone in that stadium is thinking,
here we go.
Here we go.
Yeah.
4 yards, 5 yards, grind it out. This is going to be a long night.
It felt familiar. It was comfortable. You know, it probably lured the defense to sleep a little bit.
And then, bam, the twist. We get this feeling of deja vu from last week. Quarterback Nate Johnson drops back. He's not running. He finds his tight end, Isaac Schoenfeld, in the end zone. Touchdown.
And let's talk about why that worked. It's not just he threw a pass. It's the setup. You run Duke Clark early to get those linebackers stepping forward, biting on the run.
The play action.
Right. The moment those linebackers take one step forward, they leave a void right behind them. Schoenfeld slips into that empty space. It's simple, but it only works if the threat of the run is terrifying.
So that cracks the door open, but the game didn't really swing violently until Colorado State touched the ball. This is where the defensive prep showed up.
Jaden Davis happens.
Yes.
We talk about offensive evolution, but this defensive play was pure instinct and film study. He just reads it perfectly.
Walk us through that, because to the untrained eye, it just looks like he was in the right spot.
So he's playing corner. He sees the formation. He knows the down and distance. He anticipates a quick, safe route, an out route, or a slant to get the QB in rhythm. Instead of playing it safe and waiting for the tackle, Davis jumps the route.
High risk, high reward.
Very. He cuts in front of the receiver before the ball even gets there. If he misses, it's a huge gain, maybe a touchdown for CSU. But he doesn't miss. He picks it off, and suddenly Wyoming is deep in Rams territory.
That is just a morale killer. You're already down 7-air, you haven't run a real play, and you give the ball right back. Now, usually Wyoming might play this conservatively.
That's the old Wyoming.
Right. Run the ball, kick a field goal, go up 10-0, strangle the game.
The new Wyoming, they didn't settle.
Not at all. 2 plays later, Johnson hits Hunter Thomas for another touchdown.
And just like that, it's 14-0. You haven't even settled into your seat with your popcorn yet. But the thing that stands out to me is the aggression. They were going for the throat. early.
And they weren't done. The first quarter wasn't even over. CSU goes 3 and out. They're shell-shocked. And this next drive, this is where the identity shift became undeniable.
This is the moment for me, too. We know Teron Kelman is a nightmare. He's a bulldozer. So when he's on the field, every defender is thinking, RN.
But they didn't run. Well, not really.
No, they run a screen pass. This is a perfect example of what we call a constraint play.
Okay, what's a constraint play?
Think of it as punishing the defense for being too aggressive. CSU's linebackers are flying uphill trying to stop the run. So Wyoming invites them in, lets them rush past, and then they just dump the ball over their heads to Kelman.
And by the time the defense realizes what happened,
It's too late. Kelman's behind them with a convoy of blockers.
and he takes it the distance, the scoreboard reads 21-0 in the first quarter.
Just think about the psychological impact of that. You're the CSU defensive coordinator. You spent all week prepping for a fistfight, and suddenly Nate Johnson has 3 passing touchdowns in 15 minutes.
It changes the whole conversation from who wins this rivalry game to, oh my gosh, is this even the same team?
And it's the why that matters.
Yeah.
CSU literally couldn't stop it because they were structurally incapable. They were likely in heavy personnel packages, guys meant for run stopping. They didn't have enough defensive backs on the field because they didn't respect the pass.
And Wyoming just torched them for it.
A masterclass in breaking tendencies.
Okay, so 21-0, it looks like a blowout. But this is the border war. It's never that simple, is it?
Nope. And Colorado State had to respond. They were getting embarrassed at home, so they made a bold move.
They benched their starting quarterback, Ryan Staub.
They did. Brought in the junior, Aiden Armenta. It's a desperate move in the first half, but sometimes you just need a spark. You just need to change the energy.
And you know what? It worked. For a bit.
It did. The energy changed.
Yeah.
Armenta comes in, they drive, get a field goal. It's 21-3, you're on the board. But then the big one.
The 79-yarder, Armenta just launches one to Kojo Antwi. Massive touchdown.
And suddenly, the crowd is alive. It's 21-10. The stadium, which was dead silent, is now rocking. You can feel the momentum shifting.
And this right here is the defining moment of the game for me. There are 52 seconds left in the half. You're up 21-10. You just give up a huge play. You're on the road. The crowd's going nuts. Conventional wisdom says.
Kneel on it.
Kneel on it. Go to the locker room. Regroup.
That is what 90% of coaches do there. You don't risk a turnover, a pick, a fumble, and give them a cheap score.
But Wyoming, they said no thanks.
They weren't blinking. That's the phrase I keep seeing. Nate Johnson drives them down the field, cool as anything, looked like he was in a 7-on-7 drill, and with seconds ticking away, he zips an 8-yard touchdown to Duke Clark.
To the running back, Duke Clark catching a touchdown.
Again, versatility. That score made it 28-13 at the half, but that TD just broke their back. It sent a message. We are not afraid. We are here to score 40.
It completely killed that rally. If they go into the half at 21-10, CSU feels great. They have all the momentum. But 28-13, that feels like a mountain again.
It's demoralizing. For that defense, you think you're getting back in it, and then boom, another touchdown in under a minute.
So we come out for the third quarter, and if anyone thought the first half was a fluke, Nate Johnson decided to personally silence them. We're calling this the Nate Johnson Clinic.
It really was. CSU opens with a 3-and-out. Defense does its job, and Johnson just goes right back to work. Finds Hunter Thomas again.
That's his 5th touchdown pass of the day. 5.
And he wasn't done. Later, Armenta scores again for CSU. They're trying to hang around. And what does Johnson do? Doesn't panic. He calmly marches them down the field and hits Hunter Thomas again.
That's 3 touchdowns for Hunter Thomas alone.
And 6 passing touchdowns for Nate Johnson, a career high.
Let's break down those numbers because they sound fake. They sound like I'm playing on rookie mode on my game console.
Chuckles. It really does. He went 20 of 25 passing.
20 of 25. That efficiency is just absurd.
That's 80%. And think about that.
Yeah.
Usually when a team airs it out, the completion percentage drops. But 80% for a guy known as a runner, that is surgical. 265 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, and he still added 47 yards on the ground just to keep them honest.
And we have to give love to the supporting cast. Duke Clark still ran for 107 yards and caught a touchdown.
That's the balance. That's what makes it so hard to stop. You can't drop everyone into coverage because Clark will gash you for 100 yards, but you can't stack the box because Johnson will throw 6 touchdowns on you. That's the defensive coordinator's nightmare.
And Hunter Thomas, 3 receiving scores. A career day.
Just unbelievable.
Even when CSU cut the lead to 42-28 with about 5 minutes left, it never really felt like Wyoming was in trouble, did it?
No, and that's where the old Wyoming came in handy. Once they had that lead, they knew how to close. They just bled the clock, managed the game perfectly. They walked out of there with total authority.
So let's zoom out. What does this all mean? Wyoming is 9-0, but not all Niners records are created equal, right?
That's right. And this is the evolution argument we talked about. Yeah. Look at their season. They've won games on pure defense ugly, 10-7 games. They've won with power football, grinding teams into dust. They've won close ones.
And now?
Now they've proven they can win a shootout. They can win with the quarterback dropping back and slinging it 25 times.
It's the missing piece, isn't it?
It is the final infinity stone.
Yeah.
Before this game, you'd say, yeah, but if they get behind early, do they have the firepower to catch up? Now, the answer is a definitive yes.
It makes them so much more dangerous.
Because it opens up the run game even more. It's a cycle. If you respect the pass, you take a defender out of the box. That means Duke Clark has an easier time. If you bring that defender back in, Hunter Thomas is open downfield.
Yeah.
They're no longer one-dimensional.
And there's a really interesting footnote to this game. Everyone talks about Josh Allen when they talk about Wyoming QBs. And Nate Johnson has been chasing some of his rushing records.
Right. There was a lot of talk about him potentially breaking Allen's rushing TD record in this game. He's been scoring with his legs all year.
And the irony is, he didn't even rush for a score.
Not a single one. He dominated the game, put up 42 points, and didn't use his signature weapon to get into the end zone once. That, to me, is the ultimate sign of growth. He didn't force it. He took what the defense gave him.
It's maturation. It's putting the team first.
Which leads perfectly into what he said after the game, because I think his mindset is just as impressive as his stat line.
I have the quote right here. I want to read it verbatim because it just sums it all up. He said, "Breaking records would be cool. That's part of the fun of the game. But none of that means anything if you're not winning. I'd trade every record for wins like this with my guys."
See, that's what you want your quarterback to say. It sounds like a cliche, you know. But watching him play Saturday, he believes it. He was genuinely hyped for his teammates scoring.
It wasn't about the Nate Johnson show. It was about tearing apart a defense by any means necessary.
And that is scary.
That's the word I keep coming back to. Scary.
Because we're in week 9. Most teams are who they are by week 9. You have the tape. You know their identity. Wyoming is 9-0, and they are still discovering new ways to beat you. Still peeling back layers of the onion.
So if you're the next team on their schedule, what do you even prepare for?
A headache. You have to prep for the heavy run, the screen game, the deep ball, the scrambling quarterback. And that split second of hesitation from a defender, that's where Wyoming is living right now.
It's incredible to watch. A statement win on the road with a reinvented offense. You really can't ask for much more.
No, you can't. It was a complete performance.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's the thought I want to leave you with. Wyoming is undefeated. They have the elite defense. They have the punishing run game. And now we have definitive proof they have the air attack. So the question isn't, can they keep winning? It's, what does a team with no obvious weakness look like in December?
That is the question. And I think the rest of the league is starting to realize they might not like the answer.
Absolutely. Nineville and evolving.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll be watching closely to see what trick the Cowboys pull out of their hat next week. Catch you then.